In November 2015, the NHS announced its intention to reconsider funding homeopathic treatments and determine if all NHS GPs should be indefinitely stopped from prescribing them, putting them on an NHS blacklist. Extensive research and clinical trials have been conducted on homeopathic medicine, and both researchers and scientists continuously show homeopathic remedies can work, although no scientific basis for its legitimacy has been found. So what is homeopathy, and why is it considered controversial? Homeopathy is a branch of alternative medical treatment which is believed to be used by millions of people worldwide and dates back being used for over 200 years. Famous advocates for homeopathy include the royal family, David Beckham and Mahatma Gandhi. Homeopathy is based on two guiding principles. Firstly, that like cures like, whereby a substance that causes a symptom is used in a diluted form to treat the same symptoms of an illness, for example using pollen as a remedy for hay fever. The second guiding principle is that the more diluted a remedy, the more effective it becomes. If homeopathy works as homeopaths claim, it would mean that scientific understanding has seriously misunderstood how molecular science works. With millions of users and case studies showing it to work, one might be led to believe there should be some scientifically valid reason why. The most common belief among homeopaths is that homeopathy works via the memory of water. Homeopathic remedies are made in highly dilute concentrations. A practitioner making a hay fever remedy mixes 1 drop of pollen with 99 drops of water in a test tube, then shakes the solution vigorously. This is known as a 1C solution. This process is repeated with the 1C solution, creating a 2C solution consisting of 1 part pollen in 10,000. Practitioners often use a 12C and 30C solutions. A 12C solution is the equivalent of 1 drop of pollen in the entire Atlantic Ocean. Science tells us that in a 30C dilution, it is highly unlikely that there is even 1 molecule of the original symptom-curing substance left, and that the solution is most likely just water. Medical and molecular science tells us that there must be at least 1 molecule of the substance for any reaction to occur in the human body that could result in curing symptoms. This is why science says homeopathy should not work. Homeopaths believe that their medicines contain information held by the water in which they're made. The claim is that water has a memory, passing on information via the violent shaking process during dilution. Many believe that any evidence that shows homeopathy to work is purely due to the placebo effect. The controversial implications of this insists asking the questions: is it ethically correct to provide homeopathic treatments? And should tax-paid healthcare organisations like the NHS fund homeopathic treatments? It's no surprise that publicly funded healthcare systems in other countries have different approaches to homeopathy. Although Switzerland is home to the headquarters of 2 of the world's largest drug companies, a systematic review in 2011, quoted as representing the most comprehensive evaluation of homeopathic medicine ever written by a government, states that homeopathy works and is cost-effective. In a national referendum, 2/3 of Swiss voters supported alternative medicines, including homeopathy, to be covered in the Swiss National Health Service. Over half the population have used alternative medicines and value it, and half of Swiss physicians consider them to be effective treatments. However, using a large portion of the exact same datasets as the Swiss government, the Medical Research Council of Australia's 2012 systematic review of homeopathy dubbed it to be an unethical form of medical treatment for the reason that homeopathy as a medicine has been shown not to be efficacious. The report also stated that studies found homeopathy was no more effective than a placebo. So how can 2 governments analyse the same question with the same sets of data and come to opposite conclusions? Well, critical reviews of the Swiss report have been published, many claiming the report is biased and scientifically suspect. The Swiss study looked at the same data, but seemingly wanted to come to a favourable conclusion. It argued for a change in the normal rules of evidence, a common strategy among alternative medicine proponents. They decided to rely more on real-world effectiveness. Stephen Novella, an American clinical neurologist and professor at Yale University School of Medicine, believes the Swiss report on homeopathy represents an embarrassing failure for the Swiss government, and that it was conducted largely by biased homeopaths who changed the rules of evidence in order to declare that homeopathy works. So how can we expect the UK's NHS to approach a conclusion? Given the resources of the NHS are finite, any spending on homeopathy has to be utterly justifiable. The NHS do state on their website, there is no good quality evidence that homeopathy is effective as a treatment for any health condition. They also consider that it has no regulation and requires no qualifications for a person to practice. The NHS funding for homeopathy is thought to be about £5 million, so a decision to blacklist would not come as a surprise. Ultimately, it should be up to the individual how they want to be cared for, as long as they have the ability and are given the opportunity to make a well-informed decision. But is it right for the taxpayer to pay for treatments for others that only might work?